Wow, and you thought my review for Act of Valor was late. Hello and welcome to my review of The Hangover Part 2, starring Bradley Cooper, Ed Helms, Zach Galifianakis, and Justin Bartha. Yes, guys, in honor of Project X, which is being produced by Hangover director Todd Phillips, I thought I would finally get around to reviewing the sequel to one of the most classic comedies of the past decade, The Hangover. This movie centers on the Wolfpack, Bradley Cooper, Ed Helms, and Zach Galifianakis, as they adventure to Thailand for Stu's wedding. However, in the midst of a party right before the night before the wedding, they once again black out and wake up in Bangkok with Stu's new brother-in-law missing and other deformities that you'll have to see the movie to find out. Now, this is a movie that's been torn to pieces by fans and non-fans of the first movie alike because of its similarity to the structure of the original film. And while I do admit that this movie is not nearly as good as the first movie, I actually do enjoy it. And the main reason why that is just because these characters are just so lovable. I love this trio of Bradley Cooper, Ed Helms, and Zach Galifianakis. I could watch them do anything, even if they're going through the motions. And while the plot of this movie, beat for beat, is recycled exactly from the first film, which is incredibly lazy, these three somehow figure out a way to make it fun still. Just watching these three interact is worth the price of admission alone. And also, while it is a bit predictable, I also did enjoy the mystery in this movie, maybe not as much as the first one, but it does lead them into some very funny situations. Not to mention the movie all through it's just funny. The lines that these guys say to one another, the situations, it has you laughing throughout the entire movie despite the unoriginality of it. However, you can't give the film too much credit because it is incredibly unoriginal. This is one of the most retreaded sequels I think that will ever be made. An exact carbon copy of the first film, pretty much all the way through. It's got a lot of beats from the first one. Nothing about it particularly feels like they've elevated it for the sequel. It feels like they've definitely upped the raunch factor a little bit, but not as much as you'd even think for a big sequel like this, where they really could have gone to 11, and instead they just went to a 9. I just feel like they really could have upped the ante a little more. And while the movie is enjoyable, it's not as good as it could have been. I really feel like these guys have got a lot of movies in them, but this direction that they went in with this movie is not quite it. However, while this movie is incredibly unoriginal, it is fun. I have to admit, I enjoy every second of this movie, and I've seen it about 3 or 4 times. It's not nearly as good as the first one, don't get me wrong, but I love the setting of it. I really like how Bangkok is a lot more foreboding than Las Vegas. It makes for a nice contrast. I like the characters. I like to watch them interact, regardless of what situation they're in. And I enjoy it. I really do. It's not the greatest movie in the world, and it is a guilty pleasure of sorts, but I did like it. I'm gonna give it 2.5 stars out of 4. I can't give it 3 just for the unoriginality, but it is an enjoyable sequel, and if you're willing to put your expectations for an elevated sequel on hold, I think you'll enjoy it. And that's my review of The Hangover Part 2. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please subscribe to my channel, and until next time, I'm Movie Kid Mike, making sure your time is worth your money.